Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
We are going to talk about reason number 275 why the housing market is going to crash. The silver tsunami. We're going to talk about it. It has nothing to do with silver, the metal. But we're going to read the article. We're going to go through a ton of charts. We have a ton of data. We will literally disprove this thing. It'll be very cool. But Juana,
Yes.
yesterday was a very major holiday in the U.S.
Yes, it was.
What was it?
It was Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Okay, so did you shop? Did you get something good? Leave us a comment. This is the one time when you get to put something not real estate related in the comments. What goodies did you get on Black Friday? We did not shop on Black Friday. I actually worked. And let me tell you what I worked on, which is not related to what Todd's talking about.
Okay.
I actually went out and spent some time with some buyers. And we went to new home subdivisions. And lo and behold, guess what? It's the end of the year. And they're trying to make their books look good. So anything that they can deliver pretty quickly, they will make you a smoking deal on. And what I mean by that is they'll maybe kick in a few $1,000s in free upgrades, whatever that means. And they'll give you maybe a rate buy down or a 3-2-1 or something like that. So there are deals to be had. Toll Brothers has deals out there. TriPoint has deals. So lots of new home places have deals. So if you are ready, able, and willing to buy a house, go ahead and reach out to us and we'll give you the scoop. But now we'll just go ahead and get on with the rest of the video. Todd's got lots of interesting information.
Okay, so here's the headline from the article. The Oracle of Wall Street says the avocado toast generation, that is derogatory, just so you know, has missed out on 21 trillion in equity by not getting on the housing ladder. Here's why she's predicting a silver tsunami. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you can guess, silver tsunami is the baby boomers. And this is, okay, so here we go.
Well, their demise has been predicted for a long time.
Okay. Famed analyst and investor Meredith Whitney. Have you ever heard of this person?
No.
She's not that famous. Has shown a spotlight on the plight of America's avocado toast generation, aka younger millennials and Gen Z, who have missed out on 21 trillion equity by not owning a house. Mm-hmm. Because obviously all the homes are owned by the boomers. Right. They're greedily keeping the houses for themselves, not just handing them to other people.
Well, and they have the audacity to not just kick the bucket.
No, we're going to go over. We have the numbers. This myth that half the boomers will be dead by 2030, it's not even close. Mm-mm. It's not even close. It's off by, that number is off by more than a decade. Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Homeownership has been a forced savings vehicle in the U.S., but particularly in the last 12 or 15 years, because interest rates have effectively been at zero. Mm-hmm. They have been at zero.
Yes.
Mortgage rates haven't been at zero, but the federal funds rate's been at zero.
Yes.
We have seen 21 trillion of equity built up in homes over the last decade, which is obviously an incredible wealth creator. Something else that has happened was everybody deleveraged. Mm-hmm. What does that mean, they deleveraged?
Well, so before people were living on credit a lot more, right? Okay. And there were some hard lessons learned during the economic downturn. And people learned to not live on credit. People learned to live within their means, lo and behold, amazingly enough. So that means that people were not carrying or are not carrying as much debt as before the financial crisis.
Right. And then the people who originated purchases. We had people, you have the 42% of people that own the homes free and clear. Mm-hmm. You have people who originated homes for about a 2-year period, mm-hmm. which was about almost 12 million of them, mm-hmm. either paid cash or got like 3% or lower rates. Mm-hmm. And then you have everybody else. It was like the biggest refi boom ever, where the people that had 4% rates, and I know somebody who told me they had a 1.9% interest rate. Mm-hmm. That was the rate on their place. They had a higher rate, but they refied it to like 1.9%. Mm-hmm. Okay. The Census Bureau's latest housing vacancies and homeownership survey reported the U.S. homeownership rate at 66%, third quarter of 2023. It's perfect. 2/3 own, 1/3 rent. Amid persistently tight housing supply. Unsurprisingly, the rate was highest among the baby boomer generation, which we are not. We are Gen Xers. 79.2%, so about 80%, 4 and 5. And lowest among those under age 35 at just 38.3%. Honestly, that's a pretty big number. 38% of people under the age of 35 own homes. That's respectable.
Right,
That's almost 40%. It's almost 4 in 10 people under 35 own a home. Now, what question is when the boomers were 35, interest rates were 18%.
Right.
So before people start complaining about how the boomers have had it so easy, the boomers were buying houses. They were in their prime buying years really in the 80s, not even in the 70s, because most of the boomers were still teenagers in the 70s. Or a lot of them were still teenagers in the 70s. Remember, the boomers were born up to middle 1994 or 1964. So by the 70s, they were still kids. So in the 80s, when they're becoming adults or they're in their 20s, maybe early 30s, interest rates were 18%, right? Okay. The first pain point is house prices. In June, the typical entry-level home sold for a record $243,000, according to real estate brokerage Redfin, which is up 2.1% from a year earlier and up more than 45% from the pandemic. This is entry-level homes, and we talked about this. It's the bottom 5% to bottom 35%. So if the middle price median home is here, the entry-level homes is 5% to 35%. Wanda, why don't they count the bottom like 0 to 5%?
Generally, because those homes are not always habitable. I mean, they've got major issues, and they're not representative of the housing market.
Right. This means a first-time home buyer would need to earn an annual salary of around $64,500, which is $10,000 higher than the average wage of Americans age 25 to 34. Okay, but every single person, if everyone was able to buy a house, we have 363 million Americans, and there's 600,000 houses. Guys, think of these numbers. There's 363 million Americans, and there's about 650,000 houses available to purchase in the U.S. right now. That's a pretty small number compared to the number of people out there.
Right.
So everyone's not going to just be able to get a house tomorrow. And you either have to pay cash or get a loan. Right? So the fact that only 10% or 20% of people can buy is not super relevant, right? Which is why home prices haven't substantially changed.
Right. I mean, look, we know that because of the number of homes on the market and because there are more buyers than there are homes on the market, home prices are holding steady or increasing depending on where you are in the country. There are still multiple offers. So the market is pretty consistent at this point. It's not doing anything dramatic one way or another. Okay.
The Oracle of Wall Street. I've never heard this term. I know the Oracle of Omaha.
We all know the Oracle of Omaha. He's almost 100 years old.
He's 95 or 6.
Yeah, he is.
Charlie Munger, his partner, is 99.
Right.
They both work every day. So they literally work every day.
Well,
okay.
And he eats does he eat Burger King every day?
I don't know. The founder of Wendy's ate Wendy's every day, but he died of a heart attack, so maybe that's not a good idea.
But he does. Warren Buffett eats burgers and fries every day.
I know, he probably does. Look, at his age, with his money, he can do whatever he wants. Okay, here we go. The Oracle of Wall Street also anticipates a silver tsunami in the coming years where baby boomers will sell their homes and downsize, potentially helping to ease the supply shortfalls. Now, didn't say die. Sell and downsize. We're going to talk about that in a second because I disagree with that. I don't think they're going to do this, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Bless you.
Excuse me.
People who have not sold their house in the past decade will ultimately either need to move, or want to reduce their overhead expenses and want a smaller house. She told DailyMail.com that's typically 51% of people over 50, which is roughly 30 million units.
So I think she's out of touch.
Oh, perfect.
Okay,
Glad you said that.
I think she's completely out of touch because that was true for previous generations, but not for the baby boomers. The baby boomers are the wealthiest generation. The baby boomers are aging in place. We've talked about this. We know people who are widowed or widowers, and they're living in the home in which they raise their children. Their home is 4,000 or 5,000 plus square feet, clearly more space than what they need, but they are not going anywhere. And, these people are not unique. These people are healthier than previous generations at the same age. They're living longer, and they like their home. They're going to stay in their home. And then when they do move, it's unlikely that those homes will be sold because they do not need the money. Previous generations would downsize because they were trying to reduce their outflow of cash, but this generation doesn't need to do that. Their homes are free and clear. They have more than enough money to live out the rest of their lives and leave an inheritance for their children and grandchildren. It is more likely than not that their children, when they pass, will keep the house and one of them will move into the house and then turn their existing house into a rental. This is what we've seen time and time again, at least here in Las Vegas. This is my experience with what I've seen. I have acquaintances and friends who are in their maybe 60s, and their parents have passed away, and that's what they did. They went ahead and took mom and dad's house. They did all the renovations, upgrades, updates, whatever, and then moved into mom and dad's house and then turned their house into a rental. So this is happening all over the place. This is not unique to Las Vegas. This is unique to this generation. It's unique to the baby boomer generation because they are wealthier than any other generation, because they don't need the money, because they are healthier than other generations at this point in their lives. They are living longer. They are not going to get rid of these homes. They are not going to sell them. Now, are there going to be people who do? Of course there are. But they're not going to be this whole wave that this lady is predicting. That is true for previous generations, but not for this one.
Here's a chart of income. I thought this was interesting. The highest income earners are Gen Xers, right? We're Gen Xers. Baby boomers are actually the third highest. Now, remember, their income is less because they're not all working. So millennials pretty much all work. Gen Xers all work, right? The oldest Gen Xer, which is me, late 50s, okay? The boomers, though, the older half of the boomers have retired probably,
Sure.
and some still work. Boomers tend to live off of savings, retirement, rental properties, pensions, 401ks, things like that. Okay. So this chart's very interesting. Now, Juana, we're going to put, I want to talk about this myth that the boomers are all going to die.
Well, so I want to bring up one other point because you were talking about what they live off of. Boomers are also, because they are living longer and healthier, they are not necessarily retiring at retirement age. So we see that all the time. So you'll have professionals that are still working in some capacity and still earning some income. So for example, I know some doctors that are working ad locum. So they're no longer in the practice that they either founded or worked at for decades, but they are still working occasionally. And I see that with doctors. I see that with dentists. I see that with attorneys. I see that with CPAs. I see that with all kinds of professionals that, if you will, work some parts of the year. And they do that because they like their profession and they're good at it. But the rest of the time they are enjoying their, the fruits of their labor.
Okay, here's the population in the U.S. Population by generation. Okay, now this myth that the baby boomer is this massive number of people. There is this huge demographic that's all going to die. They're not the largest generation.
Mm-mm.
They're not the second largest generation. The millennials are the largest. There's more. The millennials are the kids of the boomers, for the most part. Okay. Some Gen Zs too, the younger boomers, the kids are Gen Zs. Gen Z is a larger demographic. So when the boomers start to die off, whatever, the houses are probably going to be purchased by these massive demographics trying to buy their houses. We've got other charts that show you that will solidify this idea that there's not going to be some tsunami, silver wave, or whatever you want to call it, of homes that flood the market. We're going to also talk about some life expectancy stuff. You can see the silent generation, still significant number of them are around. Okay, they're probably obviously dying at a higher rate because they're much older. Okay, so let's talk about specifically how long these people are going to live, these damn boomers. Okay, I will give you a hint. Half of them dying by 2030 is not going to happen. So what I did was I went on to the National Institute of Health website. They have a calculator that calculates life expectancy. And I said, first I took the average age of a boomer, which would be July 1955. I even took a male, which is a shorter lifespan.
It is because we killed them off.
Okay. Well, remember, a female would have higher life expectancy. Okay. So a middle, like the middle of the boomer pack, right? The middle age of the boomers. They're 68 and 4 months right now. Their life expectancy is an additional 16.7 years. That's the middle number, meaning half of people born July 15th, 1955 will live less than 16.7. Half will live more than 16.7. So right there, remember, we're only 6 years away from 2030. This is saying 2040. This is another 10 years, okay? It estimates they'll live to 85. And you're saying, okay, what about the youngest boomer? And this is a female born in 1964, July 15, 1964. She is going to live almost 27 more years on average. On average. So that means half of that cohort will live less, but half will live more. So you're looking at some of these boomers 30, 40 years from now are still going to be in these homes. So this idea that they're all going to flood the market in 2030 or within a couple years of 2030, completely fake. The other thing too is if you have two boomers that are married, then they both have to be gone before because we know a ton of people, spouse died and they just stayed in the house, right?
Yep.
Okay. But what about the oldest ones? They've got to be ready to kick the bucket tomorrow. They're the oldest boomers, right? Okay, a boomer born July 15, 1946, literally the very beginning of the baby boom. Today, they're 77 and 4 months. Their median life expectancy, 10 more years. So it means half will die within the next 10 years, but half will die more than 10 years. So the 2030 number is going to be a small, by 2030, very few of these, most of the boomers are going to be alive. It won't even be close. As you can see, the numbers are backed by actual statistics, right?
Well, and we know it's true because it's from the government.
It's from the government. They're trying to help us. Okay, here's another quote. While the trend of baby boomers downsizing may work out well for Americans who've already built some equity in the housing market, Whitney told CNBC, this will become an affordability issue for younger Americans and first-time buyers who likely can't afford the older, bigger family homes baby boomers will be selling. What's your opinion on that?
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Right? The baby boomers all live in mansions.
Gosh.
And these people, okay, look.
So let's kind of backtrack a little bit. Okay, so these baby boomers live in 55 plus communities, and this is keeping housing away from the millennials because they're not 55. So there you go. There's one to throw at you. I mean, all the reasons that are being cited why millennials can't buy homes are, for the most part, just nonsense because every generation goes through this. Every generation has its struggles. Some are interest rates, like the way the baby boomers went through in the 70s and 80s and beginning of the 90s. Gen X, that's me. I went through it in the 90s. I had a ridiculous interest rate on my first two homes. So every generation goes through it. And, as she puts it about this avocado toast generation, not to be derogatory, but it's like, well, look, whatever challenges you're having challenges like everybody else had at the same point in their lives. And everybody else has figured it out, and this generation will have to figure it out too. The idea that we're going to somehow coddle this generation even more than it's been coddled is actually insulting to them. This generation is perfectly capable of sorting out its own finances and finding its own path in life without everybody trying to help them out. They don't need help. They're fine. Let them figure it out. That's what's best for them because it's a life skill. And honestly, it's, like I said, insulting to make it seem as though they can't figure it out and they need help from previous generations.
I bought my first house as a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps and about at the age of about 21, 1987. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't moan and complain about how high interest rates were a lot higher than 7%.
Yeah.
You know what I did? I sucked it up, bought the house. The house payment was a bit percentage of my income, But I was like, this is a commitment. You have to do it. You're not going to be able to get avocado toast and have a latte every day and all these other spend money and all a bunch of other crazy things. You just have to focus on the things that are important. So the boomers built wealth, and now everybody's complaining that they don't instantly, like they didn't wake up and have a bunch of wealth. The boomers have. Remember, the boomers have been working on this for 40 years.
Right. Kind of an anecdote to that. I was interviewing an administrative assistant, and I asked what kind of salary she expected. And she said, well, she understands she can't start at the top, so she'll make do with about $100K.
An administrative assistant in Vegas, $100K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just said, thank you. That's so nice of you.
That's so sweet of you.
So generous.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, yes, you and I had the same path. I also, bought my house, when I was about 20 years old. I was in college. I lived on ramen noodles and cereal. Didn't have window coverings, and I made it happen too. I prioritized my mortgage and my education, and I managed. I made my way through life, and that's what everybody else has to do. Is they have to earn their way through life, like we did, like the baby boomers did, because that's what makes for resilient people. That's what makes for people who take pride in what they have because they struggle to accomplish it.
Here's the last quote from the article. I thought this was funny. I think you're going to like it too. Okay, if that's the case, and there's not enough demand, Whitney warned that, remember, this is the Oracle of Wall Street, who I've never heard of, may simply choose to sell their homes at reduced prices that are closer to pre-pandemic levels, which could result in home values dropping. It could put strain on any investments you have in the real estate sector. So do you think the boomers are so desperate to sell their homes that, first of all, they're not even putting them on the market? Right now, there's no homes on the market. That they're just going to reduce the price so that some poor Gen Z can buy the house?
So if you are one of these benevolent people who would like to give someone an opportunity to buy a home at pre-pandemic pricing, please go ahead and give us a call, because we would love to sell your home. And as a matter of fact,
buy it
at pre-pandemic prices, we will save you the trouble of having your home put on the market. We will go ahead and buy it from you. So that's how generous we are.
Yeah. I just thought this is literally would just say, oh, just discount it. What did the house next door sell for 2 weeks ago? Oh, it sold for $600,000. You know what? Why don't we just sell it for $450,000? Because so we can just get it moved quickly. We don't care about the $150,000 of equity. We'll just sell it cheap. We'll fire sell the house.
There you go. So
Right.
If you want to fire sell your house, please go ahead and let us know, and we'll be happy to make you an offer.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. We've had some fun. Hope you had some fun too. How was your shopping on Black Friday? Hope you had a good time, and hope you didn't get trampled. We went out there too, and we didn't get trampled. Didn't buy, but didn't get trampled either. We had fun, and I had fun with my buyers checking out new home places. So if you're interested,
I got a question about that.
Yeah.
Did the new home subdivision? Did you see a bunch of houses that they were holding back, waiting to flood the market at the same time?
No, but I did see a lot of dirt lots.
Okay.
So
there's not houses that have already been built that are just sitting there.
No. There were 2 homes that had fallen out of escrow, and that's all they had. And everybody else, they had delivery anytime between March and September.
Oh, so there's not like a ton of houses just sitting there that no one's buying.
Nope.
Huh. That's just because somebody put in the comments like a week or two ago about they heard there's 1,000 houses in Las Vegas that the new home builders are just holding on to. And I'm like, why would they do that?
I don't know that there are 1,000 houses slated to be built in the next few months.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, I just went to a bunch of new home places, and
they don't have anything.
No, and not only that, but I mean, the number of homes that are slated to be brought to market between now and September is not huge. I mean, on average, I would say it's about 10 per community. So, okay. But I don't know that we have 100 communities, because that's what it would take to make 1,000 houses between now and September.
You know, the CFO for one of the largest home builders in Vegas is a friend of mine. I'm thinking about calling him up and going, hey, tell me what's going on actually. Like, how many houses, and I won't say the name of the company, how many houses do you guys have in inventory? Like, what's your thing look like? What's the trends look like? And just get some actual numbers.
Go for it. Go for it. See if
All
he'll spill the beans.
Spill the beans.
In the meantime, did you have a good time? Did you laugh with us? Are you sitting there enjoying your Black Friday purchase? Are we on your Black Friday purchase? Did you buy a new TV?
Yes.
Let
Are
us
you
know.
watching us on the big screen you bought at
That's
Costco for
That's right.
$4.99?
So let us know about your Black Friday purchases, what fun you had, what just what happened out there. And remember, we appreciate your real estate related comments. All joking aside, if you're interested in buying or selling real estate, please let us know. We'd love to help you out. Remember to like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video, and we will see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.